Many of us think that reflux, acid reflux, only affects our stomach, but in fact, it can affect how we breathe, whether we cough, and our overall feeling of well being. Hi, everyone. I'm Linda Esposito from Be Clear with Bronchiectasis, and today we're talking about reflux. Also, something called LPR, which is laryngopharyngeal reflux. I got it. LPR. I also, please stick around until the end because I will be talking about these products that are called Alginate. So, when I meet with a new client who really hasn't been on my social media and or perhaps on any of the message boards, and I launch into discussing reflux, they're like, wait, I thought we were going to talk about airway clearance and other issues. And it's certainly I tell them that we will, but it's important to understand whenever possible, we try to control any drivers of bronchiectasis, any underlying conditions that might be make progressing the disease and making it worse. Although bronchiectasis is described as a progressive disease, I personally have experienced where I feel that I've stopped that progression, at least for the time being. My CT scans are much improved, and I'm just in a very, very good place. However, with that said, I still am hoarse. I sound like a frog, and it's probably because of laryngopharyngeal reflux, LPR. So the LPR is when reflux matter, it could be acid or it could be non-acid. It could be just drinking water. When it comes up high enough where it goes into your stomach and then it comes up high enough where it is able to scoot into the lungs, to be aspirated into the lungs. And certainly we want to prevent this. I talk about this in many other videos, how important it is to prevent both acid and non-acid reflux. But just be aware that if you have symptoms such as hoarseness, and if your throat feels irritated and you're coughing, and some of this can be related to this as well. It might not be just the bronchiectasis, but it could be being caused by the reflux. There are lots of, as I said, I have lots of videos on this. Certainly, there are many precautions we can take. But I think one of the most controversial, if you will, is hydrating and drinking water. Now, you might think I'm going to say make sure you're well hydrated throughout the day. And I am going to say that. Make sure you're hydrated throughout the day, but do not overhydrate. Dr. McShane, a top bronchiectasis expert at the NIH in Washington, says that no matter, people think, and it's kind of old school to say hydrate, 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 right? But people think that the more water they drink, the better their lungs are going to do. And that's not necessarily true. If we have bronchiectasis, we have scarring, we have a faulty mechanism, one that's not properly clearing out pathogens and environmental irritants. And that's why we do something called airway clearance. But drinking tons of water is not going to help that. And in fact, it can increase the possibility of reflux because what we're most likely to reflux is our liquids. So that's why I sip throughout the day and I talk a lot, so I'm often dry. But I try not to gulp it. I try not to take in too much at once, and especially before airway clearance, especially before exercise or lying down. So these are precautions that I take. I've been hoarse for 30 years. It doesn't seem to be going away, probably because I don't stop talking all day long, working with clients, and then certainly recording these videos. So one of the things I've shared in other videos, I have over 200. There are videos on what's in your airway clearance toolkit. But these are some of my favorite things. It's called an alginate. And I like different ones for different reasons. So I can't really say one is better than the other, other than I can say that Gaviscon is very strong. I did an experiment where I put white vinegar, which mimics the vinegar in our stomach, because the way the alginate works is you take a teaspoon, swallow it, and the algae and the other ingredients combine with the stomach acid, and this little raft floats to the top of your stomach contents. So I did an experiment using white vinegar to mimic stomach acid and put a teaspoon of each of these, the Reflux Raft, Reflux Gourmet, and the Gaviscon, in these little glasses. And I watched, I'm like, okay, let me see what's going to happen now. And I watched, and Gaviscon did make a nice little cushy pillow, a raft on the top of the glass. But the others did as well. It wasn't perhaps as thick, but I like these because they describe themselves as being natural. So the lemon ginger is my favorite flavor, but you have to be careful if you're traveling with this. Unfortunately, I have a client who was on her way to National Jewish Health for her checkup. She had 2 of these bottles because she really likes it, and TSA took them from her. She had a letter. She just got, I think she was like a deer in headlights when they said they were going to take them, because even though they weren't open, they took them from her. So she had to actually go to National Jewish, and she ordered 2 more, and they were delivered to her hotel. But that's why I also like these travel packets from Reflux Gourmet. They're vanilla, caramel, and mint chocolate. Now, it's just flavoring. We know there are certain foods we have to avoid if we're that are reflux triggers. Chocolate, alcohol, coffee, all mint, all the good stuff. But these are flavoring, and this is so convenient when you're traveling, so convenient. So I really, really like these for that reason. And as I said, I also have an issue with nausea. And before flying, I take a teaspoon of this Gaviscon Advance, and it seems to help with that. So perhaps the nausea is even related to reflux. It's entirely possible. So I just want everyone to be the healthiest they can be. And sometimes we don't realize that it's not just about the lungs, but one system can affect the other. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like this video and hit the bell. The bell will allow you, or will notify you about all my videos. And during the week, I release 2 under 1 minute, sometimes 15-second videos that I think you'll find helpful. Okay, take care and be well. Bye-bye.